So we have any shape that has 4 sides is a quadrilateral, okay? But then we have all these other shapes that are specific types of quadrilaterals, okay? But if we don't know anything about the shape other than it has 4 sides, we just say that it's a quadrilateral. But if we have a shape that looks like this and has all the opposite sides are congruent, so these 2 sides are the same. So remember that those 2 tick marks right here on both the top and the bottom, that tells me that they have the same measure. Okay, so if the length of this is 10, the length of this is also 10. So remember, that's what congruent means. It means the same. And then also these sides, they only have that 1 tick. So that means that those sides are congruent as well. Okay. If they have opposite sides that are parallel, so this symbol right here, this little colored in triangle on the line, that tells you that they are parallel. So if you see this first top line, it has 2 triangles. The bottom also has 2, so that means that those are the 2 lines that are parallel to each other. And then these side lines, they only have 1 triangle, so those lines are parallel to each other. Okay. And then opposite angles are congruent. So this symbol right here on opposite sides, that means that those angles have the same measure. So if this angle is 92 degrees, this is also 92 degrees. And then these other angles, they have 2 of those little lines. So that means that they are also congruent to each other. So if this is 40 degrees, this is also 40 degrees. Okay? So those are just your symbols. So if you have something that has all those characteristics, then it is called a parallelogram. It's still a quadrilateral, but it's more specifically a parallelogram. Olivia?
Why does the top left corner have only like 1 circle, but the bottom one has 2?
That's what I just said. These are opposite congruent angles. So wherever you see 1, that means that those are congruent, so they have the same measure. This one has 2, this one has 2, so those have the same measure. The 1 and the 2 have different measures. Okay. Just like the tick marks right here. Both of these lines have 2 tick marks, so they're congruent. These lines only have 1, so they're congruent. If you have a rectangle, then that means you have opposite sides that are congruent as well. So these 2 lines are the same measure, and these 2 lines are the same measure. You have opposite sides that are parallel. So these 2 triangles, remember, those tell me that these 2 lines are parallel, and then these 2 lines are also parallel. Okay? And then in a rectangle, all 4 angles are right triangles. So remember, that square right there tells you that it is a right angle. A square is similar, except all 4 sides are congruent. So each side length is the same length. Opposite sides are still parallel, so this line is parallel to this line, and this line is parallel to this line. Okay. And then all angles are right angles again. So they have that square in the bottom. And then we have a rhombus that kind of looks like a square that's just tilted a little bit. It's similar to a square, except it doesn't have all right angles. It has congruent opposite angles. So all sides are still congruent. Opposite sides are parallel. And then opposite angles are congruent. Okay, so that's all these symbols is telling you exactly what is over here. And then last one, you have a trapezoid. So a trapezoid is a 4-sided figure that has exactly 1 pair of parallel sides. So the top and the bottom are parallel lines, but these 2 sides, they are not parallel because they would intersect, right? Remember, parallel lines never touch. So trapezoids only have 1 set of sides that are parallel. And that's all you know about trapezoids. Okay. Any questions about these? So this is just your characteristics of different types of quadrilaterals. So you're going to have to look at shapes and tell me what type of quadrilateral it is by using all this information. Okay. At the bottom down here, you see it says the sum of the measures of all the angles of a quadrilateral is 360 degrees. So that means that all 4 angles inside of a quadrilateral add up to 360 degrees. Okay. let's look at a few problems. We don't have much, and then I'll let y'all get started on the homework. You should be able to finish it today. But everybody turn to page 690 in your blue textbook. So get that out real quick. Yes. Everybody's turning to page 690. Page 690, and we're going to look at number 6 at the top. Yeah, you can do it on the back of that note sheet. We're just doing a few example problems, so it's not much. We all there? Alright, so looking at number 6, it tells me to find the value of x in each quadrilateral. So I'm looking at this quadrilateral right here, and I see that x is down here at the bottom. So what did we just say that the sum of all the measures of a quadrilateral has to be, Dominique? 360, okay? So that means I'm adding up all 4 angles and putting it equal to 360. So I have 80 plus x plus 65 plus 120. So I'm just adding up all 4 angles right there. All equals 360. So from there, I just need to combine my like terms. So 80 plus 65 plus 120, what do I get when I do that? 265? We all agree? So that means I have 265 plus x equals 360.
Wait.
Because I added just my 3 numbers, I still have that x term right there that you can't forget about. Okay. Roman. Yeah. What do I do to get the answer, Roman? And you get what? So x equals 95. And that is all you're doing. That's all it's asking is to find the value of x. So from here, all you have is a one-step equation that you are solving. Any questions about that? Okay, let's look at number 8. So we're looking at this figure right up here. Alright, I'm still doing the same thing. Okay, I'm still adding up all the sums because I want to find x. Somebody tell me, I know that this is 98 and this is 105 and this is x, but do I know what this measure is?
No. Yes.
I do. What is it? 90. That square right there, remember, that tells me it's a right angle, and right angles measure 90 degrees. So when I make my equation, I write out my equation, that means I've got 90 plus 98 plus 105 plus x, and all of that equals what? 360. Okay. From there, I need to add up all my numbers. So somebody tell me what 90 plus 98 plus 105 is.
293.
293. So it means I have 293 plus x equals 360. And then how do I solve for x?
Subtract both sides.
Subtract 293 from both sides. So x equals 67. We all agree with that?
Yes.
What if I have, which this might not come out pretty. It might give us a decimal. What if I have a quadrilateral? Okay, it's not perfect. So let's say that this is 2x.
What?
80. Let's say that. No. Technically, it's got to be bigger then because it's an obtuse angle, right? So let's say this has to be greater than 90. So let's say this is, let's just say 100. Keep it simple. Okay. And then let's say this one is just a quadrilateral. I don't know. It doesn't matter what it is. Okay, let's see if this works out. I'm just making this off the top of my head. Okay. Sorry. So we've got 120 up there at the top. Is that better? 52, 2x, and this is a 100.
It doesn't matter what order you put your numbers in.
No, it does not. Anna. Does it come out pretty? Cool. All right. Oh, wait. I meant to make this. Hold on. Change it. I want two of them to have an X in it. So let's say this is, sorry guys, I should have thought of this before. I didn't do this in fourth period, and they had a lot of questions about a problem that looked like this. Let's say this is 4x. Sorry. Okay, so now I have two angles that have an X in them, so I don't know what they are, okay? But I still know that all four angles have to add up to what? 360. So let's say we've got 120 plus 2x, plus 100 plus 4x, all equals 360. That's what we have to do. We got to combine like terms, okay? So, Jacory, which ones can I add? 2x and 4x, and then, of course, I can add 120 and 100, right? So, we've got to remember how to combine like terms. I cannot add 120 and 2x. You have to add like terms. So, 2x plus 4x gives me what? 6x. And then 120 plus 100 gives me 220. Still equals 360. I don't know how this is going to come out. It might be a decimal. So we still would subtract 220 from both sides. And so forth. So y'all know how to solve from here. I just wanted to remind y'all how you combine like terms. Because fourth period had a few questions once we got there. Because I didn't do an example in class like that. So you got to remember that you can only add terms that are like, meaning if you have a variable, you can only add it to another term that has that same exact variable. Okay. Any questions? Okay. Everybody look at number 12 in your book. So I can zoom up here. What type of quadrilateral is that?
That is a square.
Is it a square? That is a rectangle. A square, remember, has all congruent sides. These two are congruent, and these two are congruent, but not all four. So this is a rectangle. Okay.
I'm sorry.
What about number 13?
But that's a square.
That is a square because all sides are equal. They have all right angles, and then opposite sides are parallel. Okay.
So we just do that?
And then number 14, what about number 14?
That is a parallelogram.
That would be a parallelogram. Okay. So all you're doing is looking at the pictures and comparing them to the pictures on your notes and the qualities about those quadrilaterals. I cannot talk today. And you're just classifying them. So if it says to classify, all you're doing is giving me the name of the quadrilateral. But if you're solving for x, then you are telling me what x equals. So you're having to find that out. Okay. Your homework is page 690, numbers 15 through 31, and you are skipping number 25. So y'all can go ahead and get started on that, and you should be able to knock it out in class.